The mirror didn't just crack. It screamed as it broke, like something inside it had been waiting to get out. I remember my own reflection twisting in those final seconds, stretching into a shape that didn't belong to me. Then the glass burst outward, and silence fell so suddenly it felt wrong. Grief had made the apartment feel smaller over the past year, as if the walls were slowly leaning inward. Ever since my brother died, every room carried a hollow echo of him. His absence wasn't quiet. It pressed against everything, filling spaces he used to occupy. People say isolation in this decade reshapes the mind, makes you see things that aren't there. I thought I understood that, blamed the long nights and empty conversations, but what I saw in the mirror wasn't loneliness, it was recognition. The moment my fist hit the glass, I expected pain and nothing more. Instead, the surface rippled like disturbed water before splitting into jagged, uneven shards. It didn't feel like breaking an object. It felt like tearing something alive. The shards didn't fall immediately, which is what terrified me first. They hovered, trembling in the air as though gravity had forgotten them. Then came the sound, a wet, pulsing rhythm that didn't belong in a room. From the fractured edges, a thick silver fluid began to leak. It wasn't like blood. It shimmered, reflecting light in unnatural ways as it dripped upward instead of down. The air grew cold and every breath tasted metallic. The pieces started to move slowly at first, rotating as if guided by an unseen force. Each shard aligned with another, forming a vague outline I couldn't quite accept. My heartbeat synced with the movement, matching its unnatural rhythm. I tried to step back, but my legs wouldn't listen. It felt like the room itself was holding me in place, forcing me to watch. Something deep inside me already knew what shape was forming. The silver fluid thickened, stretching between the shards like connective tissue. It pulled them closer together, sealing cracks with a wet, glistening sheen. The silhouette became clearer with every passing second. Then I saw his face, or what should have been his face. My brother's features emerged, but they were too smooth, too perfect, like a memory trying too hard to be real. His eyes opened last, glowing with a dull silver light. He didn't breathe at first, but I felt it anyway. Each rise and fall of his chest echoed inside my own lungs. It was as if my body had been split, and something else had taken the other half. When he finally moved, I realized the truth wasn't comforting. It was worse than any ghost story. He wasn't here to visit or haunt me. He was here to replace something that had already started disappearing inside me. He smiled before I did, and that was the first thing that felt wrong. My lips followed a second later, stretching into the same shape without my permission. It was like watching my reflection take control instead of copying me. I tried to speak, but his voice came out first. The sound didn't echo. It overlapped mine, perfectly synchronized yet slightly deeper. It felt like my throat wasn't mine anymore. The room tightened around us, every corner dimming as if the light feared him. Shadows stretched toward his feet, clinging like they recognized him. I realized then that whatever stood in front of me belonged here more than I did. He stepped forward and I stepped back at the same time. The movement wasn't chosen. It was forced, like a string pulling me away. Our distance remained exactly the same, no matter how hard I tried to change it. I remembered my brother's laugh, the way it used to fill the house. This thing didn't laugh, but I could feel the memory inside it. It carried him like a mask, not a soul. My chest tightened as his silver eyes locked onto mine. They didn't blink, didn't soften, didn't show anything human. It was like staring into a mirror that judged instead of reflected. "You wanted me back," he said, but I hadn't spoken yet. The words formed in my mind before reaching my ears. They felt planted, like they had always been there. I shook my head, but he didn't copy me this time. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, studying me like something incomplete. That small difference shattered any illusion that he was just a reflection. The air grew heavier, pressing against my lungs with each breath. I could feel something slipping, like my thoughts were being shared without permission. Every memory of my brother flickered between us, no longer mine alone. He raised his hand and I felt mine lift in response. Panic surged through me as my body obeyed him instead of myself. The connection wasn't mimicry, it was control. For a moment I thought of smashing the mirror again, ending whatever had begun. But when I glanced behind him, there was no glass left. The frame stood empty, like a doorway that had already closed. He stepped closer, and this time I couldn't move at all. His hand reached out, hovering just inches from my chest. I could feel my heartbeat shifting, sinking more with him than with myself. His fingers pressed into my chest without resistance, as if my skin had forgotten how to be solid. I didn't feel pain at first, just a cold spreading inward like liquid metal. Then my heartbeat stuttered, struggling to keep its rhythm. I tried to scream, but the sound stayed trapped somewhere behind my ribs. His silver eyes flickered with something close to curiosity. It was the look of something learning how to be alive. The pressure deepened, and I felt something inside me being touched that wasn't flesh. It was older than bone, heavier than blood. Whatever he was reaching for, it felt like it had always belonged to him. My knees buckled, but I didn't fall. His hand held me upright without effort. The room tilted, stretching into impossible angles around us. Memories began to surface, but they weren't mine anymore. I saw my brother standing in the hallway, smiling the day before he died. Then the image twisted, showing him staring into a mirror just like this one. I realized with a jolt that he had seen this before me. The same fracture, the same silver light, the same impossible reflection. This wasn't something I had created, it was something I had continued. His fingers curled slightly and something inside my chest answered. I felt a pull like a thread being slowly drawn out. It wasn't physical, but it hurt far more than anything that could be. The silver fluid began to seep from where his hand met my body. It slid upward against gravity, connecting us in a thin, trembling strand. The air filled with that metallic taste again, thick and suffocating. I tried to resist focusing on anything that was still mine. My name, my voice, the sound of my brother calling me years ago. But each memory felt weaker the moment I reached for it. He leaned closer, his face inches from mine. I could see every detail now. The flawless skin, the unnatural stillness, the empty perfection. He wasn't copying my brother anymore. He was improving him. "You're fading," he whispered, and this time the voice came from both of us. The words vibrated through my chest like a shared truth. I knew he wasn't warning me. He was stating a fact. The thread between us thickened, pulsing in time with a heartbeat that was no longer entirely mine. My vision blurred at the edges, the room dissolving into shadows. And somewhere in that darkness, I felt him becoming stronger. My fingers went numb first, as if they no longer remembered how to belong to me. I watched them twitch in slow, uncertain motions that didn't match my thoughts. He mirrored none of it, standing perfectly still as if he no longer needed to imitate. The silver thread between us thickened into something almost solid. It pulsed with a rhythm that overpowered my own heartbeat. Each pulse dragged something out of me, leaving behind a hollow ache. I tried to focus on the room, on anything real enough to anchor me. The walls, the door, the faint crack in the ceiling, all of it seemed distant. It felt like I was already halfway somewhere else. He tilted his head again, studying the changes with quiet fascination. There was no emotion in his expression, only observation. I wasn't a person to him anymore. I was a process. My breath came in shallow bursts, each one harder than the last. The air felt thick, as if it resisted entering my lungs. Meanwhile, his chest rose and fell more naturally, more convincingly. A memory surfaced without warning, my brother teaching me how to fix that same mirror years ago. We had laughed when it nearly slipped from our hands. Now that memory played again. But I wasn't the one holding it. I saw it through him from the other side. The angles were wrong. The emotions muted, like a copy missing its warmth. He wasn't remembering, he was collecting. The silver fluid began to spread across my skin in thin, branching lines. It traced patterns along my arms and neck, mapping me out like something being rewritten. Wherever it touched, sensation dulled into nothing. I tried to move to break whatever hold he had on me. My body responded a second too late, like a delayed echo. The realization hit harder than the fear. Control was slipping away piece by piece. He stepped closer until there was no space left between us. I could feel the cold radiating from him, sinking deep into my bones. It wasn't just touching me anymore, it was replacing me. Our faces were inches apart, identical yet impossibly different. His eyes gleamed brighter with every passing second, while mine struggled to stay focused. The balance was shifting, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. Then he inhaled sharply, as if taking his first true breath. At that exact moment, I felt something inside me collapse. And in the silence that followed, I understood the most terrifying truth yet. I wasn't dying, I was being transferred. The moment it happened, the world didn't go dark, it sharpened. Every edge in the room became painfully clear. Every suet